Hello, lecturers and friends. We are from Group 5, Consumer Behavior Class Q. We are going to present about our journal review. Our first journal is Does Gender Bias Exist? The Impact of Gender Congruity on Consumers' Airbnb Booking Intention and the Mediating Role of Trust. So here's our member. We have Atia, we have Ardhan, we have me, Enrico, and we have Reza.
First is introduction. Airbnb provides consumer an alternative lodging option different from conventional hotels. Airbnb accommodation are offered by individual rather than companies. Airbnb hosts thought the resilience has been used to scrutinize customer house interaction in Airbnb. It is unknown how customers respond to the Airbnb house of the same or opposite gender. This studies intends to shed light into the interpersonal trust issues in Airbnb by examining the effect of gender congruency on consumer choice of Airbnb properties.
Next is literature review. The emergence of Airbnb has significantly shifted choice accommodation behavior. Since 2008, over 260 million guests have chosen Airbnb instead of hotels. Many tourists consider staying at locals as a must-do activity in a destination. The combination of online and offline consumer host interaction differentiates Airbnb accommodation from other online platforms, unlike traditional online consumption platforms.
Okay, next is methods. First is design and participants. The comparison of the new male picture with the original female picture showed no difference in attractiveness, friendliness, and likability. We use two host gender to consumer gender experimental design in which host gender was manipulated and participant gender was measured. In terms of demographics, the mean age was 35.3, 55.6% were male, 43.2% were female, 76.5% were Caucasian, 69.4% had a college degree and above, and 66% households earn more than $40,000 annually. Next is procedures and material. Participants were instructed to imagine they were looking for an Airbnb property for an upcoming trip to New York City. After reading scanner, participants were asked to rate their booking intention on a 4-item, 7-point scale adapted for Wang et al. Effective trust was measured with a 4-item, 7-point scale adapted for Srivastava et al. Cognitive trust was measured with a 3-item, 7-point scale adapted from the same source. Participants rate their familiarity with New York on 3-item with a 7-point scale adapted from Liu and Matila. To check the manipulation of host gender, participants were asked to indicate the gender of the host on a dichotomous scale.
For the next chapter is the result. In this result, it's have sub chapter is preliminary analysis, manipulation checks, booking intention, the mediation role of trust. For the first one is preliminary analysis. They tested the scale of reliability in the preliminary analysis. Consequently, we conducted a principal component factor analysis for each other construct. The other item were removed due to low factor of loading. And for manipulation checks, we can see from the table that are represented in the PPT, the manipulation, the host gender, was checked with a diagnosis scale that the result is indicate that female host condition are 89.2% participant correct recall the gender of the host. The main effect of the manipulated host gender on the record gender is statistically significant wall chi-square. So we can make a conclusion that most female, they will look for hosts that are also female. But for people men, they tend to find anyone like host female or man host. Okay. For the third sub chapter is booking intention. In the model of the manipulate host gender and measure participant, gender and their interaction were entered as independent variable, and looking in booking intention was entered as the dependable variable. This is the result of indicate a significant interaction between host gender and participant gender. Like I said before, if the participant gender is a female, they will follow up simple effect. They will find a host that is the same as a female. But if the gender participant is a male, they tend to don't care who is the host. Is it a female or a male? So similarly, male participants demonstrate a higher level of booking intention with the same gender of host. And for the last sub chapter is the mediating role of the trust. They test H2. We performed a moderate medication analysis using a booking intention as the dependent variable, host gender as independent variable, affective and cognitive trust as the mediator, and participant gender as interaction between a customer gender and a host gender. This is a boosting trap result indicate that the trust meditates that the interaction between host gender and consumer gender is really effective. And specifically, the results show that among female as same gender hosts can induce an effective of trust, which is turn by influence a customer booking intention. However, such medicating effect is not observed among the male consumer, like I said before. So, if we taken together, this result partially support by the H2 by suggesting that effective trust medicate the gender congruity effect on consumer. Gender similarity seems to primarily influence consumer effective towards an Airbnb host. This is the table for the ANCOVA test gender interaction between consumer and Airbnb host. Also, the consideration indirect effect of host gender on booking intention. So we can see from the graphic below the visit intention toward Airbnb property, female consumer tend to have looking for more female host is 6.01, and for looking for male host is 5.3. But for the male consumer, they tend just to look the same, but they tend to look for more male consumer.
Okay, for the conclusion, the dyadic nature of encounters between consumers and Airbnb hosts highlights the importance of gender congruity on online platforms. Finding of the study suggests that consumers seek gender congruity with the Airbnb host, and the tendency is especially salient for female rather than male consumers. We also found interpersonal trust, such as affective trust, mediates the effect of gender congruity on consumers' booking intentions, and the mediation effects only exist among female consumers rather than male consumers. The finding indicates trust issues are more significant for females than males in the context of Airbnb. Okay, here are the advantage and disadvantage, or rather strength and weakness of the study. Okay, the strength is this study was conducted on 200 US adult consumers, which means that the study had a pretty wide range of participants. And also the participants' demographics are very wide, such as 55.6% were male, and the rest were female. So it is pretty even for the male and female. And the 76.5% were Caucasian, and 69.4% had a college degree and above, and also 66% households earn more than 40,000 annually. So those demographics match the average Airbnb consumer. So it is the demographic of the study matches the Airbnb's consumer demographic also. But the weakness of the study is this study is limited in several aspects. First, the study tested the prediction with an online experiment. So the generalizability of the findings is very limited because it is conducted online. So to overcome this limitation, future research should use data analytics such as big data to examine the gender congruity effect. Second, the study examined the gender congruity effect without considering other variables such as the host ethnicity or consumers' travel companion status and travel motivation. So the study only focuses on the gender rather than adding other variables. Okay, and the last one for the future research is needed to examine such interactive effects. In addition, as pointed out by a reviewer, gender stereotypes may bias consumers' evaluation of Airbnb hosts. Finally, the current study examined the gender congruity effect from the consumer perspective. Future research can delve into the issue from the host side to see if such a pattern can be replicated also. Okay, it's all for the first journal. Thank you for your attention. Let's go to the second journal. Okay, so the second journal is an exploratory study of the upper middle class consumer attitudes towards counterfeiting in China.
Okay, the first is introduction. Counterfeiting has become in recent times a major and increasingly challenging issue in world trade. The OECD estimates the value of counterfeited and pirate goods worldwide was $461 billion in 2013, compared with $200 billion in 2005. The International Anti-Counterfeit Coalition also projects this value for the year 2050 to be $1.77 trillion. These figures show the magnitude of the issue in the global context. Contributing to this problem, China is considered the major producer of counterfeit and the largest consumer of counterfeit products.
Counterfeiting. Counterfeits are illegally made, low-priced products that are manufactured in a way that resemble the real product or genuine goods, yet are inferior in terms of quality, performance, reliability, and durability for sure. Despite of the counterfeiting, where consumers are unaware of that the product are imitation of the real or authentic one on descriptive, where the consumers are aware that the product are counterfeit and intentionally buy them by blurring at the stuff they are buying is counterfeiting, where the customer are not sure whether the product are fake or original. Jiang and Kova proposed the five category of determination of counterfeiting: purchase, intention, comprising product characteristic, consumer demographic, and psychology variable, social and cultural context, mood, and situational context, and consumer ethical and lawfulness use. For counterfeiting in China, like we all know, China has a love and hate relationship with counterfeiting products. They are one of the most biggest country that have counterfeiting in. Despite the increasingly repeat attempt by Chinese government to use the legal system to implement a wide range of measures to crack down counterfeiting product being sold, uh, by consuming the remain high year on year, demonstrating the distinct attitude and purchasing behavior of China customer. Further to this finding, Wang and Song argue that prior buying experience of branded products impact on consumer attitude toward the counterfeiting product. Those who are those who more buying experience of branded products strongly believe that counterfeits they fool the genuine product, while those who end up purchasing the counterfeiting product emphasize the lack of necessary knowledge to recognize product authenticity. Find that the common consensus of the Chinese public toward the counterfeit consumption is that is unethical act. Middle class in China. There is a lack of universal definition of middle class, yet no specific research is found to either segment of upper middle class in relation to their consumer behavior in general. So in 1919, the middle class comprised the estimate of 0.3% of the whole population in China. So it's about 1 million people. The middle class play a crucial part in China economical, social, and development. In the decade ahead, The middle class of China continued to expansion will be powered by labor market and policy and active that push wages up. Financial reform that stimulate employment and income growth, and the rising role of private enterprise, which should encourage productivity and help more income accrue to the household.
So here is the method that is used for the study. So the study use interview method on a group of EMBA students, which are approximately 29 people in a top university in Beijing. So the data were collected through one-to-one in-depth interviews to obtain rich qualitative data. The reason for choosing this group of students, which are EMBA students, are one, their social status is characterized as within the upper middle class group. So it matches the study, right? And the second reason is the practice of using MBA students in management research is well established and even encouraged, particularly in countries such as China. So the respondent is a perfect match for this study. So upper middle class members were considered those with an annual income of RMB 120,000 to 500,000.
Consumption of counterfeits, notes that China faced severe social and welfare consequence as a result of poor legal enforcement on the production and distribution of counterfeits. He explained that in terms of the former, there are illegal organizations based in Hong Kong and Taiwan which have been funding counterfeit production in southern China, where the majority of counterfeits are produced. Indeed, the promotion of counterfeit trading has been made easier for this organization by the jurisdictional and legal issues between the international border that separate Hong Kong and Taiwan from mainland China. The second is the reduction of counterfeiting phenomenon, argued that to effectively curb counterfeiting activities, it is essential that anti-piracy organizations understand the motivation underlying the strong demand for counterfeits and development strategies to erase the preference for fake goods under the directive of government. Two, they contend that anti-counterfeiting should include more severe penalties, increase nationwide consumer.
Okay, the next is conclusion. Focusing on the emerging upper middle class consumer in China, our empirical evidence clearly shows that consumers in our sample have overwhelming negative views regarding the behavior of counterfeit consumption. The feature of this group of consumers can be attributed to their distinctive attitudes toward counterfeiting as a somewhat political matter. In particular, the survey data indicates that these consumers believe counterfeiting not only causes some of the grievous welfare consequences, but also leads to loss of trust in legal system and seriously interferes with the proper functioning of the market and its development. The strength is despite the growing importance and purchasing power of the middle class, and particularly the latest emergence of the upper middle segment, there remains scarce studies examining their consumption behavior or attitudes. The weakness is the current study has some unavoidable limitations, which provide opportunities for further research. Given its exploratory nature, the focus of this study was on gaining insight and depth of understanding, rather than on generalizing. The future research is the empirical insight provided in the study can act as a springboard for future studies to examine this important topic across samples of different sizes of upper middle class in other emerging economies. Subsequent new findings may be general to further extend our understanding of the attitudes of global upper middle class consumers toward counterfeiting.
Okay, that's all from our group. Thank you for everybody's attention and see you next time. Take care. Bye.